Welcome to Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Today we have another exciting guest on our podcast, friends. It's right after the election, yet some people are still ready to keep going strong. We have an individual named Rick Skiba, and he is with the Extreme Non-Moderate. He's with the Extreme. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your party's name. It's
Yeah,
help me please.
it's the Extreme Moderate Non-Party of America. It's a
Okay,
non-party.
non-party. Okay, great. Extreme
Uh-huh.
Moderate Non-Party. There we go. And he's
Yeah.
going to talk to us about his entity there and also his views on this last election and his views on politics in general. So welcome to the podcast, Rick.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
Rick, if we get started by you kindly giving us an introduction to yourself, a brief biographical sketch.
Sure. I was, for most of my career, a government finance officer.
Hmm.
I worked 10 years for a municipality and then 16 years for a countywide special district as their finance officer. That was a staff position. That was not a politician. I should emphasize, I am not a politician. And during my tenure as a politician, I started to become aware about how accounting worked for governments, and I found out how the accounting allowed deficit spending and the buildup of debt in a position where it was there, but you had to really, really dig to see it. So this got me onto a thought of, gee, if we're doing deficit spending every year and we're getting more and more deficits every year, that adds up to the debt, and who's going to wind up paying for that? Because it just keeps building and building, and it dawned on me that the people who will be paying for the debt that we incurred this year to give us benefits now will be paid for in the future by people too young to vote now, people not yet born, and even people not yet conceived.
Oh,
And
goodness
I
gracious.
thought, isn't that taxation without representation?
Oh, yeah.
So that got me onto a patriotic kick, and I put on a three-corner hat, and I testified before the Government Accounting Standards Board on 2 occasions, wearing this hat and accusing them of enabling taxation without representation. Only we're doing it to ourselves. It's not a foreign government doing to us. So that was it. I also testified the same issue before the Federal Accounting Standard Advisory Council. So I've had 3 testimonies in front of them. I was also a member of something called Truth in Accounting, which is trying to analyze and present to the public in a readable form how this is occurring. This, I guess, sort of led me into politics because I found in talking to these boards there wasn't much I could do, and there had to be some kind of a groundswell for people to understand this. I was very disappointed when I found out how little people related to American history. I
Wow.
said taxation without representation, and people looked at me weird. I wore my three-corner hat places, and people looked at me weird. What are you doing? And I'm saying, look, guys, we're doing to ourselves what the British did to us 250 years ago. And then I found out recently, with my association with open primaries, and I was a member of No Labels, and I also work with the Forward Party,
Wow.
and trying to get them to understand some of this. In the process of working with them, I found a second use of taxation without representation, and that is primaries, closed primaries.
Huh.
Closed primaries are for the benefit of the Democrats and Republicans only. They are run, executed, counted by public elections. They should be paid by the taxpayers. And yet if you're not a Democrat or Republican, you're disenfranchised. And that sounds like
Wow.
taxation without representation as well. And everybody I tell that to is like, huh? What are you talking about? So I guess because we forgot American history, we're repeating it, only this country is doing it to itself, as the song might say.
Wow, that's a great way to put it. We've
Yeah.
talked about open primaries on this podcast before, yet no one put
Mm-hmm.
it that way, so we appreciate that. Yeah, that's music to our
Sure.
ears, so we love that.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
great. So, wow, it sounds like you got a lot of experience, and we have a lot of great stuff we can talk about on this podcast with all your experience and your background. So those boards that you testified for, what you said, one was I
Governmental
forget the exact
accounting
names.
at the state and local level. I testified in 1992 and 2021 before the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. They set the accounting rules for state and local government.
Okay, so are they part of the Department of Treasury, or what are
No,
they?
no, no,
Part
no.
of?
They are an independent body that is in a long around way, without going into all the different subcommittees. It's sponsored by the American CPA Society, sort of, through a couple of other
Okay.
agencies, so that it can be as independent as it can, and their funding comes from that way. Although they are largely funded too by Municipal Finance Officer Association, which means that sometimes their rules are not quite as independent as you might hope they would be.
Okay. Okay. So you were saying that, well, from your experience, you're talking about the taxation without representation, and people didn't understand that reference. And yeah, that was one of the most famous references from history. So, what's happening with the schools these days? Are they not teaching that these days, or what's going on with that?
I believe, because my daughter started high school in 1995, and when we got to the parents' night before high school started, the history department was calling people over, come, have your child sign up for history as an elective. And I said, what? And it turns out that apparently in most school districts, most the kids have to do is study the U.S. Constitution and their state constitution so that they understand it, but no, they have no understanding of why it was written, because they don't get any kind of American history.
Oh
Now, I know
my.
American history can be challenged, not from the facts that it does have in it necessarily, but the facts it omits that ought to be added, but it ought not be changed either. I mean, it was what it was. And so we should recognize that and say what it is. As a matter of fact, if you get into the Constitution and you think about what went on in America, starting out, you know, the Columbus Day poem, I actually was, okay, first of all, let me say this. I'm a man of faith, and most of the stuff I write, I consider to be inspired, not because me and God got this big thing that nobody else has, but I'm sitting there doing nothing, and all of a sudden I'm writing something. And one of the things that I did was in 2 hours, I completely wrote the Columbus Day poem. Do you know that poem at all?
No, I didn't. I'm not familiar
The
with that poem. I don't think so.
The Columbus Day poem. See, they don't even teach that here. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Oh yeah, that one I do
Okay,
know.
okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Well,
I didn't know.
my poem, I went back and I did some research, and I found out the root cause of slavery in America. And I rewrote the Columbus Day poem to talk about it. And the
Uh-oh.
Columbus Day poem says, in 1452, supremacy sailed the ocean blue. From Southwest Europe, they were white. Pope Nicholas V gave them the right to grab land without title claim and save pagans in Jesus' name. Soon all new Western lands belong to whites who were all foreign born. And it goes on from there. If you want me to, if you don't, I'll stop. You know, but it goes on from there.
Oh wow.
And let me just finish it. I may as well. Okay.
Okay.
When Europeans were expelled, Americans the role then filled. The native peoples, they could stay until they got into the way. Then came the time to free the slaves, 600,000 in their graves, and still that freedom's not been found. In vain, the cry from hallowed ground. In world wars, the winning side, our hearts were filled with joy and pride. We were now leader of the world. How proudly did our flag unfurl. We think we do what God has told. Perhaps we shouldn't be so bold. We now decry supremacy, exceptionalism as our creed. Okay, I'm a little bit lost here for a second. Let's see. Okay, we did not follow God's great plan. We built on edicts made by man. America, that once great land, was founded upon sinking sand. Now, the interesting thing about that is when you say, how do we get all this racism in America? We inherited it. His slavery was in America from 1452 until we ended it in 1861. But the founding fathers, when they started doing the Constitution in 1787, actually started addressing it. They started addressing it. They wanted to get rid of slavery. They gave up on it because they wouldn't get the South and they wouldn't get a country. So they stopped, and they didn't do it all the way. But those guys from the first shot that when they were America, okay, they tried to get rid of the racism that they had inherited 320 years before. Now, all the presentists, and I am an anti-presentist, okay?
Well, please
All the
define president.
president, judging the past by today's standard. That's a presentist.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
an anti-president, okay? What
Okay.
I tell people who judge it by the past, if they judge the past by today's standards, okay, I ask them one question. Which one of the 10 amendments in the U.S. Constitution Bill of Rights gives you the right to judge the past? So there's nothing in there. You should not judge the past. You should see the past for what it was, how it was, understand why it was, and say, we don't think that way anymore. Let's make some changes. That's what's wrong with America. We're not doing that anymore. And a good part of the reason we're not doing that anymore is because we really don't know where we're starting out from. Everybody thinks that when America came, we brought it in. We didn't. We inherited it. We inherited slavery. We didn't bring it in. And so we tried to break it right from the beginning. We didn't make it. Okay, but we're doing better now. I think that everybody would say now, bad as it may still be, it's got to be better than it was back in 1787 when they started trying to get rid of it.
Of course. Sure, yeah.
So, but the problem is when you're solving government problems, there's one thing people never consider. They always come out with a program. Oh, this program's going to do this, that, and the other thing. Okay? What I've tried to tell people over all these years is, let me ask you a question. Which way would you go to get to Los Angeles? And I'm asking you that, Andrew. Which way would you go to get to Los Angeles?
Which way?
Yeah.
I would probably take an airplane.
Oh, yeah, no, not motor transportation direction.
Direction, I would go west.
Oh, wait a second, Andrew. I forgot to tell you. You're starting from Seattle. If you don't know where you're starting from, your solution isn't going to get you where you think you're going to go.
Sure.
And that, yeah, you pretty much got my whole philosophy already. So.
Okay.
But the non-moderates, let's get back to that if you want. The non-moderates, we have I guess you could call it I've been getting so many hits on my extreme moderate site lately, and I'm thinking maybe it's you looking at it to see if there's anything else in there. And I did post something in there. I got some things probably from Meta. How do I join your organization? How can I help you? How can I volunteer? And my note says that there's no official programs because Extreme Moderates is a non-organization. The Extreme Moderate Non-Party is a non-organization. There's no membership. No official programs, but we hold to the plank that we recognize we're limited to two parties right now. We recognize that between the red and the blue, we should try to get the lighter the paler red and the paler blue candidates. They're more likely to support purple legislation.
Okay.
Any extreme moderates can be of any party, but the only thing is any demonstration extreme moderates will be by our votes in the polling place on election day. And extreme moderates recognize the precarious time in the American Republic, commit themselves to working so we can live in a land where we do not have to say my country, left arrow wrong, or right arrow wrong. And then we only add extreme to our monitor because it's the only way to get the media attention. Middle of the road Americans are not silent, but they are silenced by the media that pursues loud, flashy stories that require little effort as they chase a Pulitzer Prize. And so what you do if you want to be an extreme moderate, follow it's called we have a 5-point non-party, non-platform, non-plank. And if you're an extreme moderate, you follow those 5 points that I just said. And then the next thing you do with that, if you're a true volunteer, you're going to demand respectfully that your elected officials also become extreme moderates. And our slogan is check out becoming an extreme moderate before our republic checks out. And then I signed myself Richard Henry, which is my Facebook name, de facto non-chair. So all it is a political position. It's trying to get
Okay.
people to wake up, look around, and pay attention, as they did this time. It's hard to believe as it might be, but people got together and they went up to their independence. I think that there was a lot of moms who have adolescent, teen, and college-age daughters who went into the booth, saw the ballot, saw both names on the ballot, blinked their eyes, looked back at the ballot, saw Kamala, and on the line right below, they saw their daughter's name. And while they hated Trump, they felt that his policies were better for their daughters in terms of athletics and school facilities, changing facilities and restrooms. And I think that cost her a lot.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you think that was a big issue that people based their vote on the transgender stuff?
Yes. Actually, I don't think it was so much the L. Let's see. I don't know if the Q is queer or if it's questioning. I think the whole term is LGBTQI. I think it's something like that. There's lesbian, gay, bi, queer, and then there's transsexual and identifying. In other words, you're physically what you are, but you identify as the other one. It's that part of it, that identity part, I think, that really did them in. The trans part did them in from the standpoint of female sports.
Okay.
The identity part did them in from the standpoint of safety for their daughters. And I think that's why Kamala was down so much with women in that thing. Also, I saw, as a matter of fact, there was a CNN interview just afterwards. One of those Phillips, what's her name? Andy Phillips. It's a lady. It's an African American lady. She had a show, and it was all like Democrats on it. And all of a sudden, one guy said, one African American guy said, well, I think maybe part of the issue was boys playing in girls' sports. And the liberal white guy with the beard that was on the panel said, how dare you slander? That's a slur. That's a gender slur. I guess boy, calling a transgender girl a boy is a slur. Okay, that's all I could figure. This guy went off, and this group of Democrats, if it had been a little bit more macho, they would have come to blows. They were the lady Phillips could not control her crowd.
Wow.
And so they know it already. The other thing is a toxic message to men. Men are the bad guys all over the place. Cost her some of the black male vote, some of the Hispanic male vote. Because Trump did better with black men than almost anybody but Nixon, and he did better than a lot of people with Hispanic men, and a lot of them may not agree with him. All of them may not like him. The other thing was the macho, okay, because Trump had Hulk Hogan tear his shirt open. Republicans have no programs for men. Democrats have some programs for apprenticeships and encouraging men to be teachers, but they never mentioned it. And also, they had the big infrastructure program back a couple of years ago. They never touted that as a boon for working construction men. They seem to be afraid of their female base. Matter of fact, somebody referred to them as one of their insiders referred to the Democrats as the Women's Party. Wow. And so the men went away from it, including men of color.
Huh.
And so you have that aspect to it too. You have the gender thing, and you have that thing. And I think a lot of people didn't like Trump.
Oh, yeah.
When they saw Kamala, they thought, well, how many more illegal immigrants is she going to let in their mind? Okay, whether you call them refugees or illegal immigrants, it doesn't matter to me. But people are thinking that way. And then, of course, the inflation. Oh, sure, it's down to 2% now. 2% on top of 7 that started it, so we're way over 10 for the last 4 years from where we were before. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Not economically, no, because everything costs 10% more. I mean, that's just what it was. That's what cost her. And that and Joe Biden being selfish and not resigning or not stepping back soon enough. They didn't have enough time. They didn't. And the fact that there was no positive message for men from the Democrat side, it's all toxic.
So it sounds like you're saying that, ironically, they viewed her as the greater of two evils and him as the lesser of two evils.
In certain areas, yes. Not on abortion for sure. Okay.
Okay.
Not on racial equity for sure. Okay. No, they didn't do that. But this should have, every program that you saw for the election coverage was titled wrong.
Huh.
The title should have been on election night. The title should have been, tonight we are covering Fear Factor 2024. That's what was voted. It was your fear. What was your bigger fear? That's who you vote for, because it doesn't matter.
Huh.
What's your bigger fear? People voted against their bigger fear.
Huh.
Yeah.
So I heard you say that Nixon was, Trump got more black men than Nixon did. So Nixon did better than average with black men?
Yeah, he did much better than average with black. I think he had 13% of the black
Oh.
vote, and
Huh.
8% of the black vote was, he got 8% total, okay, of the black vote. And I believe, he had 8% of the women black vote, and he had 13% of the total black vote. So
Huh.
assuming that there's about equal number of men and women, I didn't do any more study than that. If he got 13% and 8% was women, then in order to average 8%, or to average 13% with an 8% in there, that has to add up to 26 divided by 2. So 8 and 18 is 26 divided by 2. So he had 18% roughly of black men. That's
Wow.
unheard of. That's unheard of. So I mean,
So,
it was there. The Democrats know it already. They're fighting amongst each other now. They know exactly what happened. They know why they lost.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not scratching their heads.
The ones that aren't still in mourning aren't scratching their heads. Nancy Pelosi's not scratching her head. She knows. Joe Manchin knows. Okay? Pretty much any reasonable, logical thinking Democrat that can understand that not everybody is, totally left in America. As a matter of fact, No Labels claims that there's 70% in the middle, okay? And that includes 50 that say independent, and then, on each side of that, there's a 10% that lean left and lean right. But there's probably 50% of the American people that are honked off at both parties.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
Yep.
so that's why the Forward Party is going to move forward. That's going to be a good thing.
Sure.
That's got to happen. As a matter of fact, I think you've got to have a third party right now, because both the Democrats and Republicans are incapable of producing government of, by, and for the people.
So what
We haven't got
type?
that.
Okay. So what type of candidates and what type of party activity does an alternative party have to do to be able to get in a position where they can challenge the two-party system and
They have to find the blue dog Democrats and what they call the business Republicans. The ones,
okay.
or what you might call the moderate Democrats and the moderate Republicans.
Okay.
Okay, and that's what they're trying to do with this Forward Party. They got Chrissy Todd Wisman as one of the leaders, and Daniel Yang, who ran for president as Democrat against Biden in 2020,
Yep.
is the other leader of it. They're the two that are really big behind it. And they've got a lot of Republicans, a lot of Democrats that are already signing on to it, and that they're discussing with their own party. And I think they've got a good chance because there's so many people. The Democrats that govern now and the Republicans that govern now probably each represent about 15% of the population. So when the Republicans are in, that means 85% of the public isn't represented. If the Democrats are in, that means 85% of the public isn't represented.
Wow. That's too much to be unrepresented.
Yeah. And so I think you've got to have a third party, because
Oh yeah.
we're not getting, the government of, by, and for the people does not exist in America.
So what are alternative parties doing wrong that they're not seizing this great opportunity? How can we do better to seize this opportunity? Because there's a big need for what we offer, yet we're not gaining the ground we could gain.
I would say, look at the Forward Party. That is the best hope. That is the best hope. They're the most organized. They've got politicians in there. As I said, I'm not a politician. They've got politicians in there that were Democrats and were Republicans, and they lean left and right. But they listen to each other, they offset each other, and they come out bouncing back and forth somewhere around the middle, not hanging on the left or hanging on the right.
Huh.
So I would say, for anybody interested in the third party, you look at the Forward Party. Follow them, get involved. If you're a politician and you're tired of Democrats and Republicans, go talk to the Forward Party. Just look up Forward Party. That's all you got to do. It'll give you right to a whole bunch of links in there. That's the best hope we've got right now. My hope was No Labels, that they were going to get a unity ticket. Okay? And here's where I am, to this day, very livid, I'll say livid, with the Democrats.
Oh my.
Because they were so afraid with Joe Biden, being so weak, that a third party was going to do something to pull stuff away from him. Well, No Labels was trying to get a party where they would, they were not a party. They were getting ballot access called No Labels. And they were going to loan that ballot access to a team, one Republican, one Democrat, that wanted to run for president. They would fund their own campaign. They would run their own campaign, but they used the No Label ballot line. Okay? And what happened was the Democrats operatives, like, let's see, what were some of their names here? If I got some of the names here, because the No Labels actually filed a complaint with the Department of Justice about it. Because, yes, because they charged them with racketeering, and intimidation and voter rights violations. Let's see if I have that still.
Wow.
Oh, here we go. Let's see. There was, organizations that they named was Third Way, Move On Political Action, End Citizens United, Lincoln Project, American Bridge, Public Citizen, and Reproductive Freedom for All. They put their names into their DOJ suit. And what happened was Joe Lieberman, the former Democrat senator, was the big leader of No Labels. He was the political leader of No Labels. And he died accidentally on March 27th. And on April 8th, No Labels folded. Because the intimidation, Joe Lieberman wasn't there to protect anybody against it again, and the intimidation, the threat to their futures, their financial futures, their career futures, and all that stuff, all went by the wayside. And every politician, like Joe Manchin was with them for a while, John Huntsman was with them for a while, a guy from Maryland was with him for a while. He ran for Senate and lost this time. Can't remember his name. And there was a couple other people. And they all eventually were like co-chairs of the, national co-chairs, and eventually all backed away. And the problem was they didn't have a candidate to field. So the Democrats squashed a third party already. So that's another thing you got to watch out for as a third party, is that you could get quashed by the Democrats. Maybe the next time it would be the Republicans. Depends on which one is more afraid of losing the election.
Yeah, sure. Yes. We did interview a forward party candidate on one of our podcasts. It was a while back now, maybe about 8 months ago or something like that. So yes, so you were mentioning that to our audience. If they want to look back, search through our history, they can listen to Forward Party.
Sure, yeah, and even better than that, find out what they're trying to do. They're trying to come together. One of my other slogans for the extreme moderate non-party of America is "We are the purple people." And I put a T-shirt in there, a purple T-shirt with white letters that says that and stuff like that. Forward Party is trying to be the party for those purple people. That's what they're trying to do.
Oh, good.
And the other thing people should support is open primaries.
Yes.
Because without open primaries, we still are getting taxation without representation. One of the things that I proposed to the open primary people was, okay, if you want to have a closed primary, and I think Arizona was voting on something that would do something like that, and I don't know if it won or not yet, but I said, if they're going to have a closed primary, then let them run it and pay for it themselves. Do not allow the election officials to be involved, because it's a disenfranchisement. That would end closed primaries quicker than anything.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there's another program that I thought might help with the money in the campaigns, the big money in the campaigns. It won't do anything about these outside ads that don't come out for any candidate, but they slam somebody. They can do that. The limit for, if you participated in federal campaign funding this year, you could have had $123 million. That's what the federal government would have given you to run a campaign if you didn't take outside contributions.
Oh.
Okay, that's that checkoff box on your tax return.
Oh yeah, the $5 that you can donate.
Mm-hmm. Or, yeah, whatever dollars is, 135, whatever it is. You check
Okay.
that off. That goes into this fund, and the federal government would give $123 million if you're going to run for like president type of a thing. Okay, and so that's about 50 cents per eligible voter. There's about 246 million eligible voters in the United States, and I think probably, I don't know how many are registered, but some of those 246 million aren't registered. But they still could vote. They could register. So you give them that, and that turns out to be about 50 cents per eligible voter in the country.
Okay.
Funnel that down 50 cents in the state of Illinois. We have 12 million people. You could have $6 million to run for governor. In the town that I live in, we have 70,000 people. You get $700 to run for mayor. Something like
Okay.
that. And then. That's another thing that could be done. And then coupled with that, that's just the limit. You don't have to take that money, but using that as the guideline, that 50 cents, derived how I said it, 123 million at the national level. Okay, that would become the spending limit for everybody else.
Oh.
Even if they collected billions of dollars. Okay, so then the political parties could collect as much money as they wanted from any legal U.S. place that they wanted to get it. Okay? As much as they wanted. But once they spent $123 million, either direct out of their treasury or in-kind services that other people did for them that was worth so much money, you count that too. Okay? If it was direct for the campaign, but not within the campaign, count that too. After you spent that $123 million, whatever's left in the campaign fund, after the election's over, win or lose, within 180 days, that money must be forwarded to the treasury of whatever jurisdiction you're running for. That would take money out of the political campaign.
Okay. One thing we also found out in this podcast about primaries, and it goes to the theme of your movement, is a lot of people say with the primaries that are not open, what happens is it makes them extreme. The candidates make them too extreme because then they have to appeal to the extreme parts of the party, and then the people who are more moderate, they are not as appealing to the firebrand members of the parties.
Correct. That's exactly why we have extreme government now. A lot of people, my wife is a liberal, okay, and she says a staunch independent with left leanings. She's a liberal, okay, and she won't go and register and vote in the Democrat Party Bank because she doesn't want to be bothered with all their garbage. Because if you go in and sign up as a Democrat or as a Republican, then all of a sudden the mailing comes, the funding request comes, and it gets to be very annoying. And if you're not really into it, you just want to say, look, I want to vote when I'm there. I want to know what it is. I want to know what the issues are. I want to be, some of us do anyway, be informed as to what's going on. And then I'm going to cast my vote and say, these are the people then that won, and they're going to have to monitor it. And this, I don't know how to do it, and I'm not that interested in doing it myself. So let it go,
Oh, wow. I also heard you say that you're in Illinois, right?
I'm in Illinois, yeah.
Okay.
Or as I call it ill and nauseous.
Ill and nauseous. Oh my. So if I may ask, what city are you in?
I am in Palatine.
Palatine?
Yep, Palatine. That's in Northwest Cook County.
Northwest Cook County. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody wants to drop a bomb on my house now, they can. So it's okay.
Oh, okay. So I went to high school in Rockford, Illinois, and I haven't heard of Palatine. So
yeah.
So Palatine is a small area, right?
Palatine has grown to be a town of about 70,000 people. Not quite.
Oh, not too small then. Okay. So it's not too far from Rockford.
No, as a matter of fact, we share the I-90 tollway.
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, that's kind of, I don't know if you have any more questions or anything like that. I'm happy to answer them, but kind of, this is why I'm trying to do what I do. I'm one guy. I know I'm not getting very far with it, but I just try to let the message out. I did post something though on my webpage for the Extreme Moderate Non-Party. I posted a video that I made. Did you happen to
Oh.
watch it?
No, I didn't do that yet. So I
Okay. Well,
apologize. I didn't do that yet.
it's my rendition. I'm not a big singer, but I did a creditable version of it. But I took a Prince song and changed the title a little bit and spoke my piece about what I think has to happen. And that song is called Purple Rain.
Oh.
REIGN.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's clever.
Not only is it clever, maybe, again, I don't take credit for it. It's one of those things that I felt inspired to do that. And it's true. What's in there is true.
Okay. All right. A song.
So I would
That,
encourage all your listeners to go in there and look at it.
yeah, we can put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
So the the extreme moderate non-party, you have
Of
a
America.
Facebook page of America. You have a Facebook
Right.
page. Is there any other social media that we can direct our listeners to?
Well, if you want to, I mean, like I said, the forward I would direct them to, and open
Oh,
primaries I
okay.
direct them to. I have a personal web page as well under Richard Henry. You know, that's my real name is Richard Henry Skiba Jr., which is not very much of a writer's name, so I just did Richard Henry, and I put with that little 5 under the C and a little slash. And changed the Y at the end to Henry to an I and put the little slash, so it became Richard Henry.
Okay.
But that's my personal Facebook page, and I post stuff on there sometimes as well.
Okay.
Some of it political, some of it theological. One of the other things that I am is I am a evangelical Christian.
Evangelical Christian. Interesting.
I'm
Okay.
not evangelical. I'm an evangelical Christian.
Okay.
And I
Please
have
explain.
come up with a way of talking to people and showing to them that I think that what I'm believing is the logical belief. If you have a belief, you know, some people don't believe in God, but there's something about that on there too. Every once in a while, there's an evangelical post that I would put on there for people who think that all Christians are crazy. I think organized religion is crazy, but Christianity is a great faith.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. All right. So I can put that stuff. I can put that stuff in our show notes, and we can direct them to the forward party and open primaries, and we can see if we can get people to watch your video.
Yeah. More than anything, well, if they get into the video, sometimes there's a couple more videos. I did a Christmas cantata, kind of a spoof Christmas cantata. It's called a Cantata for Contemporary American Christmas, and it kind of takes some Christmas songs and takes you through I don't know if you've ever seen a cantata, but they do some talking at the beginning, then they sing a song, and it tells the
Oh,
story as you go down. Well, there's 5 songs in there that's a cantata, and a couple other ones
cantata.
that I wrote about theological kinds of things. I
Okay.
took the song called "What Have They Done to My Song," and I got that inspiration to change that into "Look What They've Done to My Faith." And
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I mean,
So you have a
there's
YouTube
other things
channel?
in there. I have a YouTube channel, and it's under the same Richard Henry.
Okay,
With
Richard Henry.
the Richard Henry, the funny spelling.
Okay. So I think I can handle getting the web page where I found you at, and all the Facebook page I found you at, and also the open primaries and the forward stuff. Are you able to
Yeah.
quickly send me over the links to your web page and also
Yeah.
to your YouTube channel?
I'll send you the link to the web page and to the YouTube channel so that you can do it. You can have all of that there, and put it in whatever you want to do. And you can tell it to anybody. I don't care, and people can call me up and be mad at me if they want to. That's fine. I'm used to that. When I started doing my accounting bit, about saying, hey guys, we're doing the accounting wrong and we're lying to the public in our certified annual reports. Certified is fairly presented. They aren't fair. I got a lot of hate. So
Oh no.
I'm used to it. And as a
Okay.
matter of fact, I did that my whole career, almost about 20 some years of my career, and I never got fired. Surprised.
Good. Good for you. I'm glad that it worked out then. I'm glad you did the
Yeah.
right thing and it still worked out. So you didn't
Yeah.
have to fear. Some people fear that they do the wrong thing because of fear, but you did the right thing. You had fear, yet you still did the right thing. So bravo.
Yeah. Whatever it was, I felt like I just needed to do it, and the consequences be damned, and there somehow didn't turn out to be any consequences. So.
All right. Great. Yeah, if you could send that stuff over to you, I want to get this posted as soon as possible. We have a holiday coming up.
Sure.
So I want
Okay.
to get this posted before then. So that would be great if you can send it over. And we thank you for coming on the podcast today. We appreciate hearing your interesting ideas.
Okay. You want this then in the messenger things, or the links and stuff, right?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. I'll send it to you there, Andrew. Thanks for
All right.
talking to me. Appreciate the interest.
I wish you all the best. Take care.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.